Good morning. I'm Sandra Bolte. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm part of the Sunday service team. The opening words this morning are The Summer Day by Mary Oliver. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't exactly know what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Let's see what's in here. Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can get this out. Oh, what is this? Does anyone know what this is? Yeah. Well, there's pencils. That's interesting. See where they went to? What's on the inside? But what else is this? A box or a container or something that holds the pencils. Do you want to stand up here and hold the box for me, please? Turn around. So in here are things, pencils. Look, it's like each one of you, all sharp, all got a lot of graphite in it. You got a lot of learning to do. How many of you have one of these at home? You haven't switched completely into pen or marker? You still have a pencil? Someone can erase things? Good. So, but I'm not, I talk about all of you all the time. I'm thinking today about this box or this container. Well, I'm not going to say which one of you is the crayon, but actually I like the crayon. Crayons are great. This one looks a little neat or pastel. So today I'm actually considering about the container. What do you think the container is a symbol of? What do you think the container or the box is a symbol of in our lives? What? Anyone? Kids or adults? Yep. Yeah, it holds something. That's right. This isn't a trick question. Yeah. Oh my God. Who is this kid? The love that holds us all together. That's right. And how many of you can think of other containers that we're in? Can think of, yeah. The world is a container. What else? You can take that. What else is a container? Yeah. Care is a container. Very meta. Yep. A home can be a container. Any other containers? Anyone? Your own self, your body, your conscience. What else is a container? Yeah. Kindness and laughter. We're on a theme. Yes. Oh, the church, the congregation, this building, perhaps, or even the whole campus. What else? Yeah. Your brains. Whoa, gets stuck in there sometime. I know I do. Yeah. Nature can be this beautiful nature. Yeah. Whoa, go big, go home. Yep. Your family can be a container. And so really a container can be anything that holds you. Are we, as a congregation, is there a container we come to more often that we might not always think of as a container? As all ages? Here on Sunday mornings? A church. And specifically, we don't all gather in the LC Weekly room or the maker space. What room do we often come into all together? Yeah. The sanctuary. That's right. The sanctuary is sort of like our little container where we bring our little pencils, sharpen them up a little bit, dust off the old notebook of this I believe and this I This I'm committed to, and this I will do. Some of you might go to school or have homeschool, but what's another kind of container that you have for most of the year? What is that called? Yeah? Yeah, I kind of gave that one away. School, the classroom as well. And I look at this as kind of a classroom. It's a little bit different. There's no grading. There's no tests. This is very Montessori or very progressive in its pedagogy. That means like how we teach and our philosophy of that. And I always think, and my mom, who was a teacher, would always be really thoughtful as a Montessori teacher, how we think about the classroom and how we set up the classroom to be a place of learning. So what happens if you go into a classroom and it's just like cinder block and no carpet and no colors, no, you know, how would you feel being in that space? Yeah? You wouldn't be happy, you wouldn't be motivated to learn. Jeez. Yeah? What? Depressed, good, yes. So what happens when we add a little color? We add a little cushion. Yeah? That's right, we're happy. Now these two things, these have been in here from the beginning of 2000 when this was dedicated 20 years ago or so. There's a lot of nice color in here. How many of you remember when we were gifted these, if you were in the congregation at the time, from the Jewish congregation? Those are really nice. How many of you look at that sometime during the service? Like look over there, sermon's getting a little, and so you're kind of like, I need to take a look, yeah? Or what else? There's these windows, give you light to the outside. There's the joys and sorrows candles. Sometimes you all leave before they get lit, but sometimes, does anyone look at the candles during the service after they're lit? It's like kind of nice to follow the flame. What else? The chalice, we talked about that a couple weeks ago, and this sort of symbol of our faith. And I was just in St. Paul this weekend, and we lit a different chalice and said different words. And it was a beautiful reminder of what I got to do, what I was going to get to do today. Now, there's something new in here, and I'm not sure if anyone's noticed it yet. Yes? Oh my gosh, would you look at those? What are those? Tapestries, I love that. There's probably a lot of technical terms, yes? Quilt, yeah, who knows? It could be painting. It looks so beautiful, you know? So these are I don't know, what is the official thing we're calling them? They are wall hangings of beauty, sacred wall hangings. Were created and designed by a member of our congregation. Does anyone know who that was? It was Kathleen Leeson who designed these. And we had a team of people who helped to imagine this space, this classroom, with more light and color, and also helped us to kind of see the verticality of this back wall, which also draws our eyes up into the fullness of this sanctuary. Now, can anyone look at those and think about what design you see in them? What shapes do you see? Yeah. Rectangles, circles. Yes. Can anyone see maybe a pattern that exists there? Well, they are mirror images of each other. You can see that. But where did we get that pattern from? Can anyone see it? Yes, Cynthia? The doors, look over there. Oh my gosh, you're right. They are. They are a perfect example of coming into our classroom through those glass doors and looking onto the wall and then back forward like the light, right? Goes with us into the world. And so my hope and my belief is that week after week, month after month, year over year, you're going to start seeing different things when you look up there. We're still going to look at these. We're still going to look at this. We're still going to, look within our own container, our own hearts during service. But I hope that this brings us additional reflection and space for inspiration. So I hope as you go out into your classrooms and we stay in this beautiful container that is our shared all ages classroom, that we're able to think about what is of inspiration to us and how we can make this space something that really does bring out the best in all of us and the world. All right. So we're going to go off into our classes now. Will you sing with me?
As Chris said last week, when we know better, we do better. I suppose that is what always drives me to keep learning. That, and it makes life so much more fun. Learning helps me prepare for and deal with life and the constant transitions at every stage, be it my children's independence, my financial changes, my activism, or the final transition to the big dirt nap. Those of us who no longer face new semesters where we choose from a list of course offerings, we have a whole world of life learning choices. At USUs, they're not set out spiritual paths or curriculum for us. We must make the search to determine what we want and need for the life we choose to live. When I reflected on things that I've learned since my days of school and college and career, here are a few. They either focus on learning or improving skills or understanding or a creative outlet. This year, I've been playing with electroplating things with copper, and will eventually learn also to electroplate things with silver. This is a eucalyptus pod I picked up in California that I have electroplated with copper. Last year, the opportunity arose to take my interest in racial justice and homelessness to a new level. I invited an unhoused Black woman to share my house. 9 months later, the learnings still continue. Over the last 2 years, I'm spending a fair amount of time in San Francisco, and I'm learning a lot about the vegetation and how the invisible seasonal cycles work there. I'm also learning to navigate a long-distance romantic relationship in my 70s. 2 summers ago, I took an art welding class in New Mexico. I joined Team Rubicon and have taken a myriad of classes, including building skills to safely use a chainsaw. That continues to teach me. Most springs, I plant a new crop in my garden and learn about growing it. Most recently, it was okra. I added new games to my routine, like Wordle and Connections. I travel to new places and learn about the culture, history, food, people, currency, little language, vegetation, trade, and climate. I learn new songs frequently and how to play them. I took Louise's class on music fundamentals, which I recommend as some fun way to learn. I go to lectures and attend an occasional class at Indiana University at Columbus. I watch documentaries and read. I may not remember it all, but it enriches my days and zest for life. But I haven't always been as deliberate or timely in thinking about what I want to learn, given I have a limited future. Recently, it occurred to me that I might want to do a personal review on a regular basis, maybe even every year, like seeking out things to learn which enhance my physical and spiritual life. That led me to think about our collective learning at UUCCI. I'd love to be a part of exploring those options and making that happen. You know, we create things twice, once in our minds, then in reality. I can't wait to see where we go next.
We have one reading for today. It is from All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten, wonderful book by Robert Fulghum, a Unitarian Universalist minister. Each spring, for many years, I have set myself the task of writing a personal statement of belief, a credo. When I was younger, the statement ran for many many pages, trying to cover every base with no loose ends. It sounded like a Supreme Court brief, really, as if words could resolve all conflicts about the meaning of existence. The credo has grown shorter in recent years, sometimes cynical, sometimes comical, and sometimes bland. But I keep working at it. Recently, I set out to get the statement of personal belief down to one page in simple terms, fully understanding the naive idealism that implied. The inspiration for brevity came to me at a gasoline station. I managed to fill my old car's tank with super deluxe, high octane Go Juice. My old hoopy couldn't handle it and got the willies, kept sputtering out at intersections and belching going downhill. I understood. My mind and my spirit get like that from time to time. Too much high content information and I get the existential willies. I keep sputtering out at intersections where life choices must be made, and I either know too much or not enough. The examined life is no picnic. I realized that I already know most of what's necessary to live a meaningful life, that it isn't all that complicated. I know it and have known it for a long, long time. Living it, well, that's another matter, yes? Here's my credo. All I really need to know about how to live and what to do and how to be, I learned in kindergarten. Wisdom was not at the top of the graduate school mountain, but there in the sand pile at Sunday school. These are the things I learned. Share everything. Play fair. Don't hit people. Put things back where you found them. Clean up your own mess. Don't take things that aren't yours. Say you're sorry when you hurt somebody. Wash your hands before you eat. Flush. Warm cookies and cold milk are good for you. Live a balanced life. Learn some and think some and draw some and paint and sing and dance and play and work every day some. Take a nap every afternoon. When you go out into the world, watch out for traffic. Hold hands and stick together. Wonder. Remember the little seed in the styrofoam cup. The roots go down and the plant goes up, and nobody really knows how or why, but we are all like that. Goldfish and hamsters and white mice and even the little seed in the styrofoam cup, they all die. And so do we. And then remember the Dick and Jane books and the first word you learn, the biggest word of all, look. Everything you need to know is in there somewhere. The golden rule and love and basic sanitation. Ecology and politics and equality, insane living. Take any one of those items and extrapolate it into some sophisticated adult terms and apply it to your family life or your work or your government or your world, and it holds true and clear and firm. Think what a better world it would be if we all, the whole world, had cookies and milk about 3 o'clock every afternoon and then lay down with our blankies for a nap. Or if all the governments had as a basic policy to always put things back where they found them and to clean up their own mess. And it is still true, no matter how old you are, when you go out into the world, it is best to hold hands and stick together. Who's got a phone on them? Anyone got a phone? Got a smartphone on you? Anyone? You got one? All right, set a 20-minute timer. One of those 20-minute timers, and we begin. Summer school, 20 minutes, 3 classes. It's pass fail. So I think you'll pass. Got that 20-minute timer on? Good. The first class, our senior capstone. How many of you have had a senior capstone or know even what that phrase means? It's kind of an interesting, Cynthia, yes. Yes, it's kind of a final course. It's sort of what you do, a culmination perhaps of your major studies, not if you've pursued degrees or things like that. It's also just a concept that I think really fits well for our summer school intensive today, a senior capstone. Because, you know, in many respects, Sandra was talking about this, the senior capstone. One of the things she talked with me about a few weeks ago was this very powerful mantra that she lives by, and that maybe some of you live by as well, which is beginning with the end in mind, living with the end in mind. How do we continue with the end in mind? Any of you familiar with that? It's Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey, is that right? Teaching that lets us think about where are we going to end and how do we then get back to where we are today. Today's service is helping us to begin with the end in mind. Maybe the dirt nap, maybe some other threshold of life, whatever imagery works for you, theology works for you. It's helpful if we begin with the end in mind. So perhaps we are at a certain stage in our book of life and we're thinking about what is the epilogue going to say about my life, about what I learned, about what I valued, about who I chose to be in relationship with, and how I chose to use my resources, my sources of life to give to others. That is where we are starting. So you might notice on your chairs or nearby you, there might be a little piece of paper or a pencil. This is for your own personal, hopefully benefit, to be able to take down a note or jot down some ideas. If things come up for you during this piece, we're not going to collect them. We're not going to, again, grade them. That's capitalism, colonialism, breaking you down into a bell curve. Some of you have to just be mediocre. All of you are sacred and beautiful. Don't forget it. So with your little note card, thinking about our senior capstone, whether you're a senior or a freshman or younger, we can think about how we want to end our life at the end of our life. What do we want to be thinking? What do we want to be feeling? What do we want to look back on? And there might be some subjects that you feel like you've already been thinking about and acting upon. There might be some questions that you continue to ponder, like why do good people do bad things? Or like, why can't we all share? Why isn't there enough food for all? Or how come I continue to regress into a more insulated and selfish lifestyle when I know I want to give beyond me? So just as you're thinking about how we want to end at the end of our lives, think about some of the things that you might want to be able to look back to and saying that was a life well lived. Is it, I wish to be more compassionate. I wish to look back and say, I lived a compassionate life, or I struggled with compassion, but at the end of my life, I really tried to give more compassion than pain into the world. Perhaps it's something like, I really want to get over my fear of skydiving, and it's never too late. You know, it's never too late. Maybe we do a board, maybe it's like a board bonding session. We'll all go skydiving together, or maybe not, you know, so it could be a lot of different things, you know, a lot of different things, but just take a moment in this senior capstone to think about what do you want to put to cap off life, hoping and believing that we still got some time, perhaps years, decades before us. beginning with the end in mind is a great place to start, but how will we continue? Last night, I got in late to the airport in Indianapolis because I went to celebrate a colleague who was installed at UU Church in Minnesota. And I had to remember where I parked my car. And how many of you get lost there sometimes? I feel like no matter how well I think about it, it's just not there. So one of the ways we're going to do this is move into our second class. How many of you are astronomy fans? How many of you love astronomy? Astrology is close by. I almost wrote astrology, but I think both would work in this case. Astronomy helps us to do what? What does astronomy help us to do? Navigate, understand the universe, kind of position ourselves to know where to look. Yes? And it all helps us to find not only where the stars are or the planets might be, but where we are in relationship to them. So it is about figuring out where our car is, but it's also where we are in relationship to the car so that we can find it. And so we need to know in this summer school intensive how we will remember who we are and where we are in life. So we know where we want to end. We know we want to begin with the end in mind, but now we got to remember where we are now because we're not at the end. We're at the middle somewhere. And so we got to think about kind of in I think Sandra said something like doing a self-check or an assessment. Where am I? Do I want to figure out kind of where I am in 2024 as opposed to 2023? And this is a good opportunity to think about that on a personal level. Where am I today? And noticing that gap between how I'd like to end. Where am I today? Because it has to be a sobering reality to know where you are today. And you can't do that without looking up, looking around, finding something of comparison to then say, okay, I'm in this distance or this location from that star that I might be moving towards, right? So how would you define where you are today? Would you use adjectives in particular? Would you write some particular blocks that are kind of in your life right now that you need to address based on where you are today? Think about for a second how your place, how your location in this life, on this journey is unique to this moment, okay? Not where you were a month ago or a year ago or 50 years ago or 10 years ago, but where you are today. Where are you? Find yourself. Perhaps jot a few notes down. Okay, we're at our midterms. It's 10 minutes left, roughly. We're halfway through summer. We have a chance to check in. How are you? Anything going on out there? Anything on your papers? Any highlights? Anything you want to lift up? Don't be that one student who stays in the back and has a great idea. Raise your hand if you have something you'd like to share. Yes. Yeah. You feel grounded right now. And what kind of end are you wanting to begin with in mind? Yeah. Nature love. Good, good. Excellent. Other people, what else have people been writing down or thinking about? It might not make it into words.
These are again, is that I'm hoping to help to nurture grandchildren who don't have to heal from their childhoods.
Helping grandchildren who don't have to heal from their childhood. So that's very powerful. What role can you play in that process? Excellent. Yep.
To get back to the spiritual here and us. That's my practice.
Finding ways to give back to this community here at UCCI, but the wider Columbus community, and finding the satisfaction in giving back. Yeah. Yep.
Instead using my time for life. There's so many people need and what is going to give. And sometimes, like in the middle of the night, I can't stop thinking because all these needs are piling up, and where to get the rest of your attention to it seems like it's a constant battle. That you have to sleep at night or just stay awake.
That's
right. And send notes.
Right. So figuring out how to better use your time and applying your gifts, your resources to things that to needs that are out in the world that you know are there, that are not far from you, and that you have an opportunity to not, have a good night's sleep and wake up in the morning and then doing good. So feeling like you're at a new beginning, a threshold, new relationships, endings, but also perhaps looking towards those new relationships, new beginnings that might be before you. How many of you feel personally like you're at some type of threshold in your life? Some change, big change moment. And it's not every moment in our lives for sure. Okay. All right. We got one class left. Everyone's favorite, band. How many of you were in the band growing up? Oh my gosh, there's a lot of band. We're going to start a little rock band. We were going to do School's Out. What? Okay, sorry. Orchestra. We can only do one. It's band. I love it though. You can march with your violin. But yeah, we were going to do School's Out for Summer, Alice Cooper, but it didn't come together. So maybe next time we do this, that would be a good anthem. But so band. The reason we're attending band is because now we know the end that we're keeping in mind. We're beginning with the end in mind. We figured out where we are and where we are in relationship to that end. But now we got to know how we get there. How we get there. And if you haven't yet gone onto our YouTube channel and noticed our spiritual journeys section playlist, we have some amazing stories about the life journeys that people have had. It's really beautiful. And one of them, they're all my favorite, but one of them that I really enjoy is Sandra's, which she did last summer or the summer before. And one of the things that I love about it is that she sang this song that's by Linda Ronstadt. Anyone know it? What is it actually called? Different Drum. How many of you know that song? Travel to the beat of a different drum. Is that right? Traveling to the beat of a different drum. And I just because we're in band, we got to not travel. We got to march a little bit. How many of you have marched with your instrument? Okay, good. So we can kind of pat our tummy or chew gum and walk or whatever. So we're going to start moving in a place. Someone said, what do you use? Believe? We don't believe, we move. It's not about what we believe. It's about where we're going. And that belief is important, but we believe that we can change, that our lives can change, that a community can help change, and that by changing, we change the world. We shape that change beyond us. So it It is a microcosm, a fractal that ripples out and back and forth in that change. And we do so by marching, likely to a different drum. How many of you are more like a little snare drum? If you would, personify yourself in a drum right now, would you say you're more of a snare drum? Anyone? More of a timpani? I know there's some out there. That's more of you. Yeah. Yeah. What about like one of those things? Those big ones. Yeah, I like those. And it's not a drum, but what about like the cymbals? I like that one. That one's good. And so, that might be silly to think about, but we all have different things, different percussion that brings us into this space of a little chaos, a little dissonance, but we find rhythm together. Amidst all the difference, somehow we find rhythm to play together. My daughter had a battle of the bands in her elementary school, and they had like these kids like School of Rock play their own songs, and it was in the gym, so it was like all this acoustics, and it was loud and kind of understood what was going on, but what was really happening was seeing in the faces of all these young people this belief in themselves, in these songs that they wrote themselves, that they're showing to parents and actually, voting on to win the battle of the bands. And, it doesn't matter always what it sounds like. It matters how you feel as you're marching to that different drum of yours and feeling embraced and loved just for who you are and whatever rhythm you got or don't got. All right. So we know where we're headed, our senior capstone. And so we're going to prepare for it by understanding where we are, knowing that this is a congregation that values that dynamism and believes in your transformation over time. And we'll empower you with the power you already have to claim your journey, your spiritual journey, your ethical journey, your philosophical journey beyond this moment into the next and into the next. Now, in 3 weeks, because just scheduling wise, on August 9th, we're going to take everything we've learned here, all our summer learning, and we're going to start thinking about our learning opportunities here at UUCCI. Because I don't want you to go out and say, okay, now I got all this homework to do and, I don't know what to do. But instead, you take that and you think about, how do I turn to one another and say, what do you know how to teach? What do you know how to teach? You took that before? Okay, let's do that. Let's get a little small group. That Chalice Circles brings up that shared learning opportunity, that shared interest. You come for the Chalice Circle, you have an experience, and then you go back out into the world and get coffee, or you offer a class, or you teach a skill and things like that. And then together we have this beautiful growing, every day of our life here together. How are we doing? 2 minutes. Oh, good. I like you too. You give me that double check. So how many of you feel like you learned something, and it's okay if you haven't, because, ooh, okay. Well, I guess we haven't. No, I got 1 more minute. How many of you feel like you can walk away today feeling like, okay, it's the summer, but perhaps now is when my learning can kick it into new gear. You got nothing to hide you away. You got this beautiful day, the warm weather, the rain, the growth, the verdancy of nature. How many of you feel like you've at least found one thing or some reminder of something you already knew? I take that as a class well done. I invite you to sit in this moment just for another few seconds and think about how you hope to grow and learn in this summer ahead. Maybe so, and amen.